Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Moby. I'm Dr. Moby, and today we have an excellent guest. Let's welcome Marissa, all the way from California. How are you doing?
Hey. Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good. So, tell us about yourself, Marissa.
Um, I hate that question. um, I I've pretty much done a lot of things. I'm a former U.S. Navy sailor, social worker, retail manager, security. My master's is in criminology. I was also a massage therapist. Now I'm a high school English teacher, and I just published my first novel.
Oh, wow. I mean, you've said so many things in one sentence. That's great. So, it can show, how you do multitasking and all that. So tell me about your, you served also in DOD. So, tell me a little bit about that.
I'm sorry, one more time.
In Department of Defense, you were in.
Yes, I was a sailor in the Navy. I was a hospital corpsman. So I was trained in battlefield medicine, and I actually specialized while I was in public health. So I ran the immunizations clinic. I inspected all the food service facilities. Had to do all the STD tracking, which when you're in the Navy, that's a lot. So it was fun. It was a good time. And
Yeah.
it's how I met my wife. She's also a veteran from the Navy, so
Mhm. And there's a lot of learning and leadership when you do those kind of jobs, right? So
oh yeah.
teaches you better leader and better later on in your life, right?
Oh yeah, and I mean, I was a wild child, so I had to do something to kind of get discipline and learn how to manage myself and manage my life. So, out of high school, I was 2 weeks out of graduation when I went into boot camp. So it was yeah.
So also tell me about your passion now. I know you do write a lot of books, and so tell me, when did you start doing that?
Um, I've always wanted to be a writer, but coming up in the times of traditional publishing, it's intimidating and you're told, you have to do certain things and you have to be a certain way and you have to write a certain way and you have to have certain connections. And so I never pursued it when I was younger. And then when COVID hit, we were at home and I was doing distance learning with my students, and I had a lot of, I had a lot of downtime because my kids weren't really interactive during the distance learning. It was, it was hard. So I was like, what am I going to do with my time? So I started on my downtime writing, and I ended up writing my book. And I thought about pursuing the traditional course, but I found a hybrid publisher and did a partnership with them, and it's been a really great experience.
Yeah, yeah. So what was the topic of your first book?
The It's kind of loosely based on the about my part of it's part of my coming out journey, and then part of it is dealing with the custody battle I had with my over my son, and then it kind of takes a little paranormal twist.
Okay. So then, but was it based on anything particular, or was it a real life scenario, or was that?
Part of it is based on my real life, and like I said, the coming out journey of the main character is very much my story. And then I took a lot of cues from what I dealt with my son and his, in our custody battle for him,
Mhm.
and dealing with the bias of the court systems and things like that. And so part of that is loosely based on my story. I fictionalized it to make it a little more interesting,
Mhm.
but it's the inspiration came from life.
Mhm. Okay, so you did some of that. Also, tell me a little bit about. I know you have written more than one book, right? So.
I'm in the process of publishing my second
Mhm.
novel.
Mhm.
That one is not based on anything or anyone I know. It's
Mhm.
just that one was just pure imagination. So I got to have a lot more fun with that one.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm hoping it'll be released in time for the beach read season. So I'm hoping to see that one on Amazon by hopefully end of May.
Mhm. Mhm. Also, tell me a little bit about your, writing skills and all that. So, how did you end up doing that? Were you always interested in that?
I have been. I was an avid reader. I grew up with a love of books. Because I was kind of an outcast. I was kind of, which is probably why I was a wild child. Um, and so being somebody who's loved books and loved stories forever, like this was kind of a natural course of action for me.
Mhm.
So
So that's how it started with writing. Okay.
yes, yes,
Okay.
I would write, short stories and stuff like that when I was in high school, and but I don't have any formal college training on creative writing or anything like that. Like I said, my master's is in criminology and sociology. So,
Mhm. Okay. So, then also tell me a little bit about, some of the stories which inspire you or which will help you to write something. So, tell me a little bit about some of the process. Take me through that. How
um,
did formulate.
so my biggest inspiration came from Anne Rice. So I'm very sad to see her.
Mm.
It was heartbreaking for me. Um, and then so I spent most of my time, reading, paranormal type stories. I love the macabre. I love things like that. Um, and I lost track of where I was going. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I know it's been a long day for you. You're just getting off work at 8 o'clock at night, and I just got off work. So I'm like,
I
where are we
no
going?
no no worries, no worries. So also, yeah, no, you're right. Normal everything day to day life. So tell me a little bit of some of your inspiration when you were writing or reading
Okay,
book.
yeah. Anne Rice, like I said, she's my biggest. I
Mm-hmm.
love the way she writes. I mean, she puts you there. She puts you in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then other inspirations have just come from like just in general, like living my life or like, with This Too Shall Pass, the biggest inspiration came from actually, and this is a real life example, is my son's stepmother made a horrible post about me on social media saying that I should just kill myself.
Oh.
And my wife and I were watching a documentary about mediums and the other side and being haunted and things like that. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Wouldn't it be funny if I died and then I just tortured this person for the rest of her life?" And my wife's like, "No, that wouldn't be funny. Like, let's not talk about it."
Mm.
And then I kind of was like, "Make a good book." And she was like, "What are you gonna do? Call Stephen King and ask him to write it?" And I said, "No, I'm gonna write it." And she was like, "Okay, then do it." And so I did. So I took that from, like just two very mundane, basic, everyday things that had happened and then morphed it into the book. And then my second book actually started as a short story that I was going to write a collection of short stories and put together, something about that. And one of my characters in one of the short stories just kind of kept eating away at me. And I was like, okay, I can see this being a whole book. And it became a book.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting, and I think you pointed out few good things is about, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So, have you seen some of these, acceptance with, in culture, versus does that affect somebody who's a writer like yourself? You know, so the acceptance or anything that their comments kind of um, puts us in that creative mode.
Like, like, are you referring about like being like coming out and like
Yeah.
the LGBTQ community? Yeah, I do see. I mean, I write from that community. I write. My characters are
Hmm.
of the LGBTQ community, and I pull mostly from that
Hmm.
in my experiences in that circle and in that life and in the family. that creates, because it is different. There is a different level of acceptance, and there is a different level of bonding because we've all been through something similar. Um, and I mean, my friends in that community have become a chosen family, and I have drawn inspiration from some of them, especially in the first book.
Mm-hmm.
The character Drew is based off of my best friend Mark, and our interchanges and how he was there for me and how he was the one who kind of pushed me to, be myself and live my authentic life and inspired me to do that. And we had walked a similar path of having a normal, traditional, straight marriage and having kids and, having to face our truth and to be truly happy to be ourselves.
Yeah. And I think every human being has full full rights to actually practice or do things according to what they believe, and I think they should respect what somebody is doing. So I think everybody should have, in my opinion, so they should get full respect for that. So also tell me a little bit about you know how do you normally keep yourself going through all this hustle? What relaxes Marissa?
My wife and I are avid travelers. We like to go on vacation a lot. So when I have breaks from work, which being a teacher, I get a lot. We travel. We have our son. We travel with him and expose him to. So like that's my favorite thing. I love to go places. I love to experience new places.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it recharges me. Makes me happy. But when we're not traveling, I'm actually very much a homebody. I love to be at home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love to just like read a book and you know watch a movie and just be with my dogs.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. At least you can get to enjoy. So, what's your favorite place to visit or go when you travel?
um, I really fell in love with Ajaccio, Corsica. It's south of France. It's where
Hmm.
Napoleon was born.
Yeah.
But my absolute favorite place in the United States is New Orleans. Absolutely love New Orleans. It's
Mhm.
my spiritual home. There's just something about that city that just it speaks to me. And San Francisco is a good one too. I love that, and Victoria, British Columbia. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's a lot. So, also tell me a little bit about I know one of your future projects is your next book coming up. What about any other ventures? Are you doing podcasting or?
I'm not. Like I said, I'm a full time teacher, so
Mhm.
it's hard. I'm drained when I come home. My kids are awesome, and I love my students, and I love being a teacher, but it sucks the life out of you.
Yeah, as I assume. So,
I mean, I can't imagine like I said, I don't know. I can't even imagine what you deal with as a doctor.
mm.
I because I mean, I know I have to make a ton of decisions all day long. Like I can't even imagine what it's like for you. So I'm
Yeah.
not
Well,
like
thank you. Yeah, we just keep doing, and like Energizer Bunny. So we keep on getting our energy from when we see somebody smile or somebody's happy or at least made a difference to somebody's life. That keeps us going. So.
exactly like when I work with my students and I see the light bulb come on,
Mhm.
or like I have like today I actually had a very moving moment with a student like right
Mm.
before I left. I advise a academic competition club called Mock Trial where the kids
Mhm.
actually are given court cases and they have to argue them in front of judges.
Mhm.
And one of my students, he's a freshman, and he stopped me after school and he's like, I want to talk to you just one on one. And I was like, okay, and he was like, he's like, I used to be very homophobic until I met you. And I was like, okay.
Mm.
And he said, he's like, I didn't think of gay people as humans. I used to say horrible things about them, and I used to be very fearful of them. And, I just wanted you to know that you changed my perspective on that, and I respect you for that, and I love you, and I'm sorry that I ever thought bad things about people who are like you. And I was like, okay, and it was a very sweet moment. And it's, to just impact somebody's life where I've changed the way they, I've taken them from a place where they felt hateful or fearful of
Mm.
other humans, and they've come to a place of acceptance. It makes me feel like I can just not go to work for the rest of the year and I've done my job. you know
That's true, and thank you for sharing that. So that I think a lot of people will feel or they can relate to that. So that moment, so when they misunderstand somebody, but actually they never take a minute to understand the real person. So I think a lot of, as you know, a lot of people unfortunately just listen to hearsay, but they never take a step and just try to focus on what they really think of somebody. So they would hear say things and then keep on listening and keep on passing. That's sad, but that's true. So,
it is.
so
And it's I mean, living in Southern California, I mean, I moved from the Midwest. I used to live in Detroit, and that's where came up and born and raised most of my life.
mm,
And coming to Southern California, it's a whole different experience. I mean, you live in a pretty diverse community outside of DC, so
yeah.
you can understand this when I say, like, you go from someplace that's pretty homogenous to a place that's, full of all kinds of people. you know, it opens your eyes to a lot of things, to be exposed to people who are outside of your typical circle.
Mm, yeah, 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 for sure. Any final thoughts or message you have for our audience?
No, just buy the book. It's available on Amazon.
Mm.
Um, or keep an eye out for my second novel, which will be, like I said, coming out soon, and it's called like Sapphire Blue. So I've got This Too Shall Pass, which is out now, and just love everybody. Be nice to each other. Be kind.
That's true. Spread the love.
Yes.
Okay, but thank you for coming to our show and waiting and also being accommodative. So take care. Good luck on your book, and we'll definitely have everybody check that out. And take care. And nice to see you next time. Take care.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moby. Have a
Okay.
wonderful night. Get some
Yes.
rest.
You too.